Hello everyone. In this video, I would like to share with you a little more in-depth approach to electional astrology. And this is an example, an election that I did for one of my clients who requested a good time to release her music album. So good time would mean attraction of publicity, of course, public liking it, and growth as a musician and popularity and interest to her work. So let's take a look at the electional chart. Before we get into the details of it, I want to preface it by saying that there are no perfect elections, and every astrologer like myself working on the elections is trying to choose the best that we can, but there are no perfect, or rarely we can get absolutely perfect elections. There's always a little bit of good and a little bit of bad. Our goal is to find the best that we can. So the client gave me a relatively small range of dates. I think we had to choose in the month of December and January of 2025, because that's what the label company had requested from her. She did have a label company interested in her, but she was a relatively unknown artist. And so the music album release and, of course, publicity and advertisement about it were very important. So let's take a look at this chart. What does it really say? First of all, in traditional electional astrology, it's very important to make the Lord of the Ascendant as strong as we can. Ascendant represents my client in this particular chart. And so we have Taurus rising, and Venus represents her. As you see, I put Venus in a very strong position. It's in the 11th house of good fortune. House is associated with big dreams, hopes, and wishes. It's a very fortunate house. And Venus is in Pisces, her exaltation. So in terms of visibility, attractiveness, exuding this exalted energy, that's as good as it gets. More so, it really connects with her natal chart, that's important, and also it connects with the topic of the election. It's about music. And her music specifically is beautiful, romantic, but also at the same time a little solemn. When I was electing it, I couldn't avoid Saturn in the 11th house, and I did ask her, is her music a little sad? And she said, yes, it is. Later, she did share the music with me, and it was beautiful and solemn at the same time, but very uplifting and spiritual. So Venus is positive, and that's a good sign for the election. She is with Saturn, but it's out of orb, so Saturn doesn't oppress Venus's energy as much. We look next at the moon. The moon shows our product and our person, and she's very important in elections. Here we find her on the first house in Taurus, another exalted position. So in other words, that day there was a lot of exalted energy. And so the music and the person attracts attention to themselves. And usually in the publicity charts, we want to look at the 10th house, and for the publicity, especially Jupiter is important. However, Jupiter at the time was not in good condition. It was in detriment and retrograde. So Jupiter, according to traditional astrology, could not give much assistance. But she had to do it during December and January. So if Jupiter does not assist, we can go to the Sun for publicity. And so the final consideration in this chart is the Sun is close to the 10th house in the 9th, and the Moon and the Sun are in trine. So for publicity, for the practical flow, it's wonderful to have the Moon and the Sun in a good aspect. And here we can throw in the part of fortune, which suggests what she loves, what her heart desires. And the part of fortune is in the 5th house, which is about creativity and self-expression. And part of spirit, this little letter S is part of spirit, is where her spirit is attracted, where her divinity is. It's in Capricorn in the 9th house. So again, there were serious and sad tones in her music. However, she follows her destiny in sharing her music and a little bit of sadness, but also overcoming the sadness through the arts. She does it in her work. So that's the election she has settled on. And later on, she informed me that the release of the album was a huge success. She increased her followership tremendously. People bought out her album immediately. It was released in relatively small amounts. People bought her album. They loved her music. And of course, the label company was also happy and satisfied. And her career greatly has taken off from that point on. And just recently, she informed me that new things are in the workings. Really, there's a lot of that good stuff that's going on for her. And generally, it was a very successful election. The one final note here is that there is no successful election, specific election, without connection to the natal chart. I won't show her natal chart for privacy, but suffice it to say that she does have Jupiter in Cancer in the 11th house. So she is predestined to be successful and visible. And this particular election connected with her natal chart in many ways. So while we didn't capitalize on her own natal Jupiter in Cancer, the other configuration, the planets were supportive and connected to her. So it was a huge success. So that's how it played out, and it pleases me to share this as a good, positive election. If you're interested in more content like this, if you're interested in my work, please support my young channel, hit the subscribe button, and stay tuned for more. Thank you very much.